From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Check out TicketBash.com for some great flyaway packages coming up, including Jets versus Dolphins in Miami and Giants versus Falcons in Atlanta. If you're a fan of the Jets and Giants and you could stomach that, that's a great trip if you want to go on either one of those trips. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by our friends at the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash when you go there, and you get a free dessert with your meal. Sports Bash is also sponsored by Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Mention Sports Bash when you come in. Get a free autographed 8x10 photo. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Here's a little sneak peek. We're going to hear from Warren on the show in just a little bit. We're also brought to you by Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400. Tell him Sports Bash sent you. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And finally, by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz, 516-465-3990, the number to call here on Sports Bash on this rainy Thursday, ugly day outside. You know, we do need the rain, but you look outside, it was pouring this morning, and it just, kind of like exemplifies the NFL season we're having here in New York. When you see that, ugly weather conditions, you just think of the Jets and the Giants, and that's kind of apropos, but we have not had a rain like this in a long time. I can't remember the last time it rained, even a drizzle, right, Tony? Yeah. Tony Walker spinning the dials for me after another great Knock 'em Dead comedy show. So make sure you listen to that every Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock here on Gov's Comedy Club podcasts. And he's coming back after the show because he put the pressure. I was driving in to do the show, and I hear him talking to his guests about coming back at 2:15. And the last few shows, I've been going overtime. And Tony says, it's okay. You can go a few minutes past. But now I feel the pressure that I've got to get everything done by 2 o'clock. No?
You're fine. That's why I told him 2:15, because right. I'll let you have your overtime.
I can go 2:05 or something like that.
2:10 even.
Yeah.
Sure.
2:12. Just, whatever. No, I don't think I'm going to go that far over today. But we do have an action-packed show on Sports Bash today. Make sure you're subscribing to Gov's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube so you can comment along on YouTube if you'd like to do that. Sometimes you're a little bashful maybe to call a talk show or sports talk show, so you can comment. I've got the chat up. I remember to open up the YouTube chat and turn the volume down on my phone before the show started. So we've got that going for ourselves today. Coming up at 1:20, we're going to talk a little pro wrestling. AEW will have their pay-per-view Full Gear this Saturday night at Prudential Center, New Jersey. We're going to talk to AEW superstar Orange Cassidy. He will challenge AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley at Full Gear on Saturday night at Prudential Center, so that will be a good conversation. Then at 1:40, back-to-back, absolutely fantastic broadcasting, sportscasting legends will be joining us in back-to-back. First up, legendary ESPN SportsCenter anchor Hannah Storm, who's done decades of great work at NBC, and she was at CNN for a while back in the day, and now she's on ESPN, obviously, for a long time. She is a cancer survivor, and she's raising awareness about the importance of hereditary cancer screenings. like the MyRisk hereditary cancer test. We'll also talk a little sports with her as well. Knicks and Nets we can bring up with her as well. And at 1:50, I'll be joined by Apple TV Major League Soccer play-by-play announcer Steve Cangialosi, longtime play-by-play announcer for the New Jersey Devils, stepped away from that a few years ago, and was a longtime announcer for the Red Bulls on MSG Networks until the league took the whole TV package to Apple a couple of seasons ago, and he's on the call for Saturday's Eastern Conference semifinal game between the Red Bulls and NYCFC at Citi Field. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined by my good friend Warren Heller, the owner of Living Legends Memorabilia. Tony, has he dialed in on the Zoom? We're going to get to Warren in just a minute, but I did want to bring up a couple of things before we get to Warren at Living Legends and talk about the item of the week and the Sports Mash Media poll question of the day, which is sponsored by Living Legends. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Warren, by the way, was worried that he wasn't going to be able to know how to use Zoom, so I had to give him the studio number as well. But it certainly appears as if he has figured out how to use Zoom. We'll get to him in a minute. The other day on the show, I started, obviously, by ranting about what's going on with the Jets. And, they fired Joe Douglas. I was leaving my house. I found out they fired Joe Douglas. We had this nice little rant on the show on Tuesday. And kind of lost in the shuffle of me bitching and moaning about how bad the Jets are, is that you almost forget how bad the Giants are too. And they've almost gotten a bit of a free pass with how dysfunctional the Jets have been this season. The Giants have had their own problems. Now, they've had their own problems for different reasons, but it's worth noting that the Giants are in the middle of just a horrid season at 2-9, and they have benched Daniel Jones. And not only have they benched Daniel Jones, they didn't even demote him to number 2. They didn't even demote him to number 3. They demoted him to number 4. Tommy DeVito is going to start this week. They have now Drew Lock has been demoted to number 3, who was supposed to be the backup that they signed to a $5 million contract. He's now number 3. He's now number 2. Daniel Jones is number 4, and they have brought former Jets legend Tim Boyle to the Giants this week. He will be the 3rd quarterback. So they want Daniel Jones nowhere near the playing field because they don't want to risk him getting hurt, and then they have to guarantee him some money. So the Giants have this issue of being terrible for different reasons than the Jets have. The Jets is dysfunctional from top to bottom. But here's where the Giants season went south. They gave Daniel Jones a boatload of money last year because in Brian Daboll and Joe Shane's first year, the Giants go to the playoffs and Daniel Jones wins a playoff game. And by virtue of that, they're now boxed into a corner where, they now give Daniel Jones a contract extension at $40 million a year. Now they can get out of it after this year because there's only a certain amount of guaranteed money. But now look what has happened. That now they signed Drew Lock to a $5 million deal to be backup. Tommy DeVito starts the season as number 3. Now Tommy DeVito's starting. So this was clearly an ownership situation because John Mara had to say, well, listen, there's not much left to play with this year. Let's just have the fan favorite, Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, get the start this week. We drop Drew Lock. He's got to be wondering why he signed with the Giants now. And Daniel Jones certainly, he's played as you'll never see him in a Giant uniform again. And now the Giants, I know they tried to draft a quarterback last year. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Giant fans are choking when they're listening to me talking about this. And now the Giants have to draft a quarterback. They have to because Daniel Jones is going to get released. I don't think Tommy DeVito is a long-term answer at quarterback. And Drew Lock's going to go elsewhere. He'll go find an opportunity to play somewhere else. So as much as I like to bitch and moan and whine and cry about the Jets, well, the Giants also have their issues, and that has made for just one horrible New York area NFL season. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. It's presented by Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles, located at 124 South Long Beach Road in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They are also available for charity auctions. They do a great job with that, so you can give my friend Warren a call at 516-826-4000. We post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Here's today's question. Brent Sutter is going into the Islanders Hall of Fame on January 18th. Here's the question. Who should be the next Islanders player to go into the Islanders Hall of Fame? And the four choices are Pat LaFontaine, that would be my choice, Stefan Pearson from the Stanley Cup years, and Josh Bailey, who is now an ex-Islander and has not caught on with anybody else, and in the top 10 in Islanders scoring and games played, so he would be a candidate. And then the fourth choice is other. Comment below. So again, I have to reiterate, because we've had issues in the past with these polls on this show and the old show at the other place, where I make the poll question, and if I have other as the choice and you click on it, you have to comment below. By just clicking other, I don't know who you're voting for. So if you click other, am I wrong here, Tony? Like if you click other, like you have to answer the question. So right, so like you could say Ziggy Palffy, you could say I don't know, Pierre Turgeon, Eric Fichaud, like any of these people that played for the Islanders. If you click other, you have to comment below. Now, late 90s, I'm involved in a sports radio show here on Long Island on WGBB. It was on Friday afternoons, and big sponsor of the show was Living Legends Sports Memorabilia, and that is where the relationship started between me and Warren Heller. And now I am so proud and so honored and so humbled that Living Legends is a sponsor of Sports Bash. And we want to welcome to the program for a few minutes my good longtime friend, just an overall mensch, Warren Heller. And did we lose Warren?
No.
Peter, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Warren. We're just trying. There he is. There he is.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I thought we lost you here because I always commend Tony on a job well done, but I thought we lost you for a second.
Nope, I'm here with you.
There you
How
go.
are you?
Doing great. And Tony, thanks again for getting Warren up on the program. And you see behind Warren on your screen some of the amazing memorabilia he's got at Living Legends. Warren, first of all, again, on behalf of everybody at Sports Bash, thank you for coming on board as a sponsor. We've had a long-standing relationship, and it's great to have you as part of the Sports Bash family.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to a nice relationship with you guys.
Absolutely. And if you didn't hear me mention this on the opening, for those watching, if you go to Living Legends in Rockville Center and you mention Sports Bash, Warren is going to show you a box of 8x10 autographed photos, and you get to pick one of them. It's that easy, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
No question about it.
So we'll
be more than happy to assist. And for your holiday needs, we're going to be having some beautiful items available for purchase, and hopefully everyone will find something that they're looking for. We have sports, we also have entertainment and political memorabilia, all for sale. Beautifully framed items, unframed items, basketballs, footballs, baseballs, hockey pucks, tennis balls, in addition, of course, to baseballs and photographs and bats, et cetera, et cetera.
It is, and I've said this before, Warren, your store is literally, it's a virtual combination of all the Hall of Fames. Like you literally, you can walk through your store and it is a who's who of every major sport, also political, entertainment. Every time I stop in, I have to see all the Billy Joel stuff that you've got in the store, but it's a great place. I actually have I've gotten a lot of stuff from Warren's store over the years, and one of the things I cherish the most is a chair back from Shea Stadium that I have hanging in the house. I thought about bringing it in, and I forgot to go upstairs to go get it. But it's just some great stuff. And what we'd like to try to do every week, if you can come on every week, great. If not, you'll take a picture of something. But we want to try and highlight an item of the week at Living Legends, and I was in there yesterday, and you showed me something that came in. I said that's got to be the item of the week, and that is a Caitlin Clark autographed basketball. So why don't you show that to everybody? I think we have have the picture I took yesterday, but if you have it live and you want to pick it up, you can show everybody the basketball. There it is.
Can you see it?
Yep, you can certainly see it. It is a Wilson. Is it Wilson basketball, right?
Yes, it's a Caitlin Clark edition. So they're not easily you can't get them everywhere. We were fortunate enough to get 3 of them. One of them is already gone. I have 2 left, and it's a beautiful piece. She is the epitome of what a superstar player, humble, a great player, and she's only going to get better. And her signature is not easy to come by. She was able to sign these. These are signed outside of Madison Square Garden a little bit earlier in the year. And she is now the face of the Women's Basketball League and the Women's NBA. And some people don't want to admit to that, but she really is. There's a lot of jealousy involved. But she is such a phenomenal player and such a good person. Yeah,
there's no question. And she really, when you think about it, the WNBA has been, a strong league in a lot of ways for a number of years now, but I don't think they've ever had the boost that they had this year from her. Angel Reese obviously meant a lot to the WNBA this year when you have the New York team, the Liberty, winning a championship and playing another great team, in the finals. In Minnesota, it certainly made for a great year, but all eyes were on her this year. And as you mentioned, it's not a very easy autograph to come by. I know she doesn't say no to a lot of people, but to be able to get her own basketball with her signature on it, that's a great item, and I'm sure you're going to have a tremendous amount of interest in it in the store.
I truly believe you're correct. As I said, one of them's already gone, and I have 2 left, and I certainly expect long before the new year that they will be gone as well.
I would think so. Now, before I let you go, and I thank you for joining me for a few minutes, tell everybody about Living Legends doing charity auctions. It's a big part of what you do with Living Legends. Tell everybody about that, how they can get in touch with you if they have a charity, an organization that is looking to raise money.
Sure, Peter. Living Legends has been in existence almost 29 years. And for all 29 years, we've been doing charity auctions to benefit various fundraising events throughout the metropolitan area. We've also done them in New Jersey and Massachusetts. So we have no problem traveling. And basically what we do is we bring enough items either for a silent auction or for a live auction. And it can be as many as 150 items or as few as 40 to 45 items. And what we do at these auctions is we'll lay everything out on the table. A percentage of everything that sells goes right to the charity. And in addition to that, we donate an item or items worth at least $150 to them out of appreciation for having us. All the money derived on those items stays with the charity. So there is no downside to having us. The charity can only make money, cannot lose any. We've done over 1,800 auctions during the 28 plus years that we've been doing them. We've been very successful. In fact, I have another one coming up this coming Sunday in East Meadow. And
I've heard of East Meadow. I grew up there. Yes, I did.
So did I.
Yes.
We both went to East Meadow High School. And then I have another one up in upstate New York a week from Monday. So, as I said, we travel, and we've been very fortunate and lucky to be where we are, and a good portion of that is due to the people who've come out to support our fundraising events, and we hope to do so many more in the future. If anyone has any charities that they deal with or they know of, please get back to me, 516-826-4000. I'll be more than happy to discuss them with them, and hopefully we could get together on a location, et cetera, and put forth a really, really profitable auction for everybody.
He is my friend Warren Heller from Living Legends in Rockville Center. Warren, my friend, thank you for spending some time. A very, very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll catch up again next week.
Thank you, Peter. The very same to all of you. And I appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Living Legends in Rockville Center. That's Warren Heller, the owner, proprietor, and just all-around good guy at Living Legends in Rockville Center. When we come back here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, I'll be joined by AEW superstar Orange Cassidy. That's coming up right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter.
Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia. We guarantee the authenticity of each and every item in our shop to provide you with quality collectibles anytime you browse our inventory. Our memorabilia includes autographed photos, sports equipment, jerseys, hats, and other paraphernalia from current athletes and legendary sports stars. If you prefer the entertainment industry, we have signed posters, albums, and photographs from classic movie stars and today's celebrities. To give back to our community, we participate in fundraising auctions for local charities. Call us today to request a specific autograph, find a special gift for someone else, or schedule an event. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Well, this coming Saturday night at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, AEW presents their pay-per-view Full Gear, and the main event of that program is going to be the AEW World Championship match between champion Jon Moxley and my guest at this time. He is AEW superstar wrestler Orange Cassidy, and he joins us here on Sports Bash. Orange, it's Peter Schwartz. How are you?
I'm as good as I can be, Peter, after getting beaten up for a month leading up to this match. So
yeah, this is going to be, as Jon Moxley has promised, something heinous is going to happen on Saturday, and I know he has promised that is going to happen. So for you as the challenger, and with everything that you've gone through in recent weeks, how much are you looking forward to the match, and are you concerned at all about this heinous thing that Jon Moxley has promised?
So I am concerned about this heinous thing, but see, the problem is my strategy going into this is no secret, is to make sure he doesn't do that heinous thing. Throughout the months leading up to this, he's always had his gang there with him, teaming up on me, but this Saturday it's just me and him. And how does he not know that I'm going to do a heinous thing too? I promise to you it will be a bloodbath.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. There's no question. For the people who come to the Prudential Center or watch it on pay-per-view, this shapes up as one of the great matches in all of professional wrestling this year. For you, this opportunity, you've been twice an international champion with AEW, and now a chance to win the biggest prize in the company. You've worked hard a long time in the world of professional wrestling. To have this opportunity to be in a venue like this, in a match that's got so many eyeballs on it, what does it mean to you personally and professionally?
It just makes it all more important that I am successful. And I think it's important that a guy like me is the AEW world champion. AEW, we tout all the time that it's where the best wrestle and it's where professional wrestling lives and the best form of professional wrestling. And for me to hold that symbol, which is the AEW World Championship, basically saying that I am the best wrestler in the world, that not only that, showing what our style of professional wrestling is. I think that's more important. That is probably the most important thing that I do. I come away with that prize.
How much fun has this been for you? I know you've had a bunch of stops in your career and on the independent scene, and to arrive at AEW, and obviously a number of years ago when Tony Khan started the promotion as competition to WWE. Obviously there was a lot of attention placed on it, and now it's still a viable product all these years later for you. What has it meant to be a part of this company, and for all the other wrestlers too, to have this opportunity that may not be available to them at other promotions?
Yeah, and I think I think the best way I could answer that is I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you without AEW. I never had the goal, the vision of going to a WWE. They weren't even interested in me. I wasn't even on a list somewhere. I was never interested. New Japan Pro Wrestling out in Japan would never take me. So I was just doing my thing on the indies for as long as I could. And then when AEW comes along, and they are on a mainstream, major platform TV to show guys like me, women that wrestle like me, guys that wrestle like me, that we show this different style of professional wrestling that we all love. I am just forever grateful and want to do whatever I can to make sure that's never goes away.
I think it's interesting, Orange, when you think about being a fan of a sport. Like, you always wonder what it would be like to be the owner, to be like to someone who ran, like if you grow up a Yankees fan, you had a chance to own the Yankees. I know Tony Khan, how much of a wrestling fan he was when he was younger, and that was a dream for him to own a wrestling company. Do you sense that every day from him, how important this is to him and how much he loves this, and how he is trying to make AEW as good as it can possibly be and as successful as it could possibly be?
I am just so grateful that Tony Khan decided to do this. It was things that he would write in his notebook, growing up in high school, and he would fantasy booking, but all of his work that he put in with the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously, and the Fulham Football Club, he is giving a more sports-based approach on TV, in the ring, and out of the ring. And I'm forever grateful for that, because we are treated so much better than professional wrestlers were, I should say, before Tony Khan came along. He understands what wrestling means to us. He understands the passion that we have for it, and we understand the hard work that we put into it, and he rewards us. And it's I see Tony's analytical sports approach every single day that I work for AEW. And
you have to appreciate the fact that he took that massive bump and then was there in the Jaguars' war room just a couple of days later. I mean, that's unbelievable that the boss took that kind of blow, getting dropped on his head, and there he is still in the Jaguars' war room a couple of days later.
Yeah, I don't think he could have done it any other way. I don't think he would have accepted laying in a bed as an exception. He was going to do whatever he could to make sure that he was there.
Orange Cassidy is my guest, an AEW superstar wrestler, and he will challenge world champion Jon Moxley at Full Gear pay-per-view on Saturday night at Prudential Center. In addition to being a wrestler, you're also, as I understand, a producer at AEW. So I guess my question would be, how important is it for a wrestler, especially one of your magnitude, to have that creative control over the product and to be able to kind of help with that blueprint of what the company should look like?
Well, I think from the very beginning, AEW was never going to just be one person's idea, and then we all do that. I think from the very beginning, it was everybody's input was important. Everybody's voice was going to be heard. I'm not really a producer, but I do help when I can, and from a lot of the younger talent who are just starting and maybe only 3 years into their career, and I'm like 20. They come and ask for advice, and I always am willing to give that because AEW is a place where we're all trying to help each other grow and help each other become better. I think it's vital that our locker room stays united in making the product better together and not just trying to step on each other to get to the top. I think it's important that we all take the elevator up.
Mm-hmm. You're a native of Stewartsville, New Jersey, and I'm just wondering, growing up, how did you become a fan of pro wrestling? When did that bug kick in, that itch that you said, I want to do this, when I grow up?
I always loved, I still do. I love movies, sports. I like it all. And professional wrestling is all of those things. So why would I not do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of sitting in my house, and I decided to build a professional wrestling ring in my backyard.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't the best. I started doing that every Friday with the local neighborhood kids, and I'm still doing it now.
Was there a wrestler or two that you looked up to, growing up, that you tried to emulate when you did break into the business?
I thought it was very important because I am not the biggest guy you'll ever see. I don't have the most muscles. I'm not I don't have those things that a person who doesn't know a professional wrestler, who's very casual to professional wrestling, they would look at me and say like, oh, you're a professional wrestler. So I made sure that I stood out in other ways. So all those guys that were at the top, all the guys that were standing out, I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to make myself unique. And I wanted people to say that Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy. There is no other Orange Cassidy. And I take a lot of pride in that.
Let's circle back to the match coming up on Saturday night with Jon Moxley. Since he returned from his hiatus, something changed with him. He had this different aura about him when he came back. Then remember that interview with Tony Schiavone that he declared that this was not your company anymore, and he has all of these like grandmaster things that things are going to change. And is that part of the hope that you have of becoming world champion, that whatever might be up his sleeve is not a good thing, that you want to derail this right then and there at Full Gear on Saturday in New Jersey?
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it on the head, but I understand Jon Moxley wants to make AEW a better place, and we all do. Unfortunately, Jon Moxley wants to do it in a way that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. He wants to build AEW to make it anew by sacrificing people, making people, he put a plastic bag over Bryan Danielson's head.
Yeah, that was gross. That was terrible.
He stomped a chair on my best friend Chuck Taylor's neck. And he thinks by hurting these people and ruining people's lives that it'll make a better place. I don't think AEW needs any person to sacrifice themselves for a greater good. We could do it all together. I think his vision is just a one of chaos and destruction. And before it even gets started, I'm going to stop it. And this is his first title defense, so I'm going to make sure he doesn't. I've beaten before, and both times that we have wrestled, it has been very bloody. And actually, one time he stabbed me in the head with a fork.
Oh God!
So and that was in front of 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium. So
yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do, so I have to take that same approach. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be crazy.
It sounds like it's going to be crazy. And being that it's in New Jersey, I would imagine you're going to have a lot of friends and family in attendance.
I have, luckily the Northeast has been very, very kind to me. So I got some people coming that'll hopefully make some signs and cheer me on.
Well, Orange Cassidy, AEW superstar, challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear at the Prudential Center in Newark on Saturday night. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Best of luck against Jon Moxley on Saturday night. We hope to talk to you again somewhere down the road. Next time, you'll be able to hold up the championship belt maybe and bring that to the show next time.
I mean, if all things go according to the plan that I don't have, yes, I hope so.
That's awesome. Good luck on Saturday, and thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you very much.
Orange Cassidy, AEW superstar, challenging Jon Moxley, the AEW world champion, Saturday night. It's Full Gear on pay-per-view at the Prudential Center in New Jersey. If you want to watch it on pay-per-view, you can do that, or you can just get a ticket and go to Prudential Center. I guess tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com, so you want to check that out. Should be a great show on Saturday at the Prudential Center in New Jersey. So when we come back, still lots to do. This might be the most action-packed edition of Sports Bash that we've ever had, the old show and this show. So coming up, we're going to talk to ESPN SportsCenter anchor Hannah Storm. We're also going to talk to Steve Cangialosi from Apple TV. He calls MLS play-by-play, and he's doing the playoff game on Saturday at Citi Field between the Red Bulls and NYC FC. Still more to come. Sports Bash rolls on right after this. Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple
Pete.
in the restaurant
Cheers.
industry
Talk to you soon.
for over 50 years. And the great
I can't
thing
hear you, but I'll
about
follow
it
up
is
on
when you
email.
walk
All
through
good.
the door, you're not a customer. You are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow, and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved. In 1982, the Marty Lyons
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We'll get to your calls later on. Make sure you're subscribing to Gov's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube. And this segment of Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. Check out TicketBash.com for some great flyaway packages, including Jets versus Dolphins in Miami, Giants versus Falcons in Atlanta. My next guest is a trailblazer when it comes to women in sports, a veteran sportscaster, does outstanding work and is also raising awareness about the importance of hereditary cancer screenings like MyRisk Hereditary Cancer Test. And I want to welcome to the show one of the great sportscasters that you'll find anywhere, Hannah Storm. Hannah, it's Peter. How are you?
Hi. Peter, great. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for spending some time on the show. Before we talk a little sports, I did mention the word trailblazer, and I've talked about this with other women in sportscasting, like a Susan Waldman, for example. Yeah. And do you like that term? Because at one point there weren't a lot of women in sports broadcasting, and now there's a lot. There's been this explosion. So when people talk to you about being a trailblazer, is it something that you're comfortable with, or do you think that word shouldn't be used anymore?
No, I think you have to have that word. It's like all the women in the WNBA were saying this year, the WNBA didn't happen overnight. Like, they stood on the shoulders of the people who came before them, of the Lisa Leslies and Rebecca Lobos and Cheryl Swoops. I think the same thing goes with any profession, where there's where it really didn't exist before, and somebody had to be the first, and somebody had to start it, and somebody had to pave the way. And that's something that I take really seriously, and I always have. And even to this day, doing play-by-play for the NFL for 4 seasons for Amazon. I mean, that's something that hadn't been done before, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that I appreciate that label, and I think you have to embrace that label because that's part of history.
You mentioned the WNBA, and now obviously you've got, there were already a lot of girls playing basketball, but now when you see the explosion with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, now you have so many others that now dream of being in the WNBA. What's it like for you when you have a young girl, whether she's in high school or college or wherever, and they say, I want to be like you. I want to be on ESPN doing SportsCenter?
It's so funny because a lot of my colleagues, they I was their role model, now I work with them every day. So that's really cool. And then obviously speaking to young women, and it's really funny because a lot of young men ask me for advice too, which I love. I get such a kick out of. But I really do appreciate that. And I think that because I come from sort of the journalism side of sports, and that's, there's almost like, there's so many different ways that you can go, right? You can go and, on the debate side, the journalism side, play-by-play, sidelines, what have you. There's so many different venues, different podcasts, different, so much more than when I came into the business. So I love it. But I always say, like, the basics are, you have to work hard. You have to absolutely love sports. You can't be afraid to learn new things and to ask questions. And I always say you have to be able to write. I just think writing is so fundamental because writing helps you understand logic and why one thing needs to follow another and where to fill in the gaps. So that's definitely one thing that I think is just an invaluable skill.
No question about it. Was there a sportscaster that you looked up to when you were thinking about getting into the business? I think of ESPN back in the day, and I think of someone like Gail Gardner, and there was another local sportscaster here in New York that I know was a trailblazer, Leandra Riley. So there were a number years ago that people could have looked up to. Was there a name or two that you wanted to share about that?
Well, I mean, so Gail Gardner was my contemporary, right? So I will say, let's walk it back before then. The women that I admire, the only women who were really doing sports on television were the morning show hosts because they would go and do the Olympics for a month. And so the woman that I really admired was Jane Pauley. And she did, I would watch her do the Today Show, and then I would watch her on the Olympics. And that was the only female face that I really had to relate to. So I would say for me, it was Jane Pauley, who, by the way, is still going strong, which I love.
No question. And Hoda Kotb is leaving the Today Show. And I know what kind of an inspiration she has been, not even to just women, but to everybody. She is so likable and has done such a great job. And I'm wondering what your reaction was to her announcing that she was retiring from that.
You know what? I really understand it because I did CBS The Early Show for 6 years when I had young children. And it was a lot. And at that time, I just did the morning show. She did not only the Today Show, she did Hoda and Jenna after, and then she had her like unbelievable podcast. And it's really hard. It's a really, really hard job. It's really exhausting. Time is of a premium. And I think that, she's accomplished so much that the next step will be something that will be challenging. And I think it'll be something that really fits into her life as a mom. And I think the possibilities are endless for her because she's already established this incredible foothold. But I know for me with my children, I always took like my family first, and then I backtracked what kind of job I wanted from there. So I was like, do I want to work only in the early mornings? Do I want to work? I always turned down any kind of job that was at night because I wanted to be there when my kids came home from school. So that's why I've pretty much been like a morning fixture for so long, even though I love to sleep in. So I just think that, I think that you have to kind of, you have to take your family and say, well, what's working for me? Yeah. So I really respect it a lot. I really respect her so much.
No question. Hannah Storm from ESPN is my guest here on Sports Bash. And I mentioned before, Hannah is a cancer survivor, and I know that you are speaking out about raising awareness about the importance of hereditary cancer screenings. Tell me a little bit about that, what that road was like for you when you found out you were diagnosed with cancer, and how much you're trying to spread the word about getting checked out and making sure that things are done with women and everybody on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm really glad you added that, and everybody, right? With men too, because men, obviously men can get breast cancer, but
my cousin, a male, passed away from breast cancer.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you have cancer in your family, right? And I have never had a single person in my family have breast cancer, and I've been having mammograms for like 20 years. So I'm like, no, I am fine. I was so blown away to find out that I had breast cancer. I had no symptoms, no family history of breast cancer. But there was a family history of cancer. My dad died of cancer during COVID, and I had two cousins who had cancer. Okay. I didn't understand genetic testing, and it sounded kind of like just something out there and something that wouldn't pertain to me and so forth. But as soon as I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I got genetic testing, which, by the way, costs $99, but 90% of people don't even pay that because almost all insurance covers it. So it's in 90% of the cases, it's free. And what it's able to do is have you understand your history. So there's a super quick quiz on myriad.com/knowyourhistory that you can fill out. You know what I didn't realize? It's both sides of your family. So not only your mom's side of the family, but your dad's side of the family is like super, super important. So there is like a really quick quiz, and then you can ask your provider to do the testing for you. You can do the testing online. If you don't want to do that, it's a simple blood test. And literally for all of these cancers, it can tell you, do you have a genetic mutation of any kind? Are you at risk for any cancers, and what's your risk level? And then that really helps you make very informed decisions later on. And it's what helped me when I got diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay, do I have a gene mutation? Do I have the BRCA gene? Well, let's do this test. We found out like everything like very quickly within a week. No, you don't. Okay, what are we going to do? Okay, let's have a simple surgery. Let's have a lumpectomy. Okay, great. Like it really helped me. It gives you a roadmap. You know what I mean, for your health. And it's easy. It's almost always free. And then you get ahead of the game, and you know how we like to do that in sports, right? Yeah. You're not go into the game prepared.
Yes, but you're okay. Yeah. You're okay now. You're healthy. Everything is going well.
Yeah. I just had my first follow-up mammogram, and cancer-free. I take a drug called tamoxifen, and I'm going to take it for a couple years. But it's really great. But yeah, and I'll be tested like. I'll definitely have mammograms, ultrasounds, and MRIs, every 6 months for the rest of my life. But, you also want to know your history for your kids. So I have 3 daughters, so I want to know, what are we dealing with here?
Right.
And I want them to be tested as well. Just so you know, knowledge is power.
I would be, and I'm glad everything is okay, and it's great information, and where everybody who has followed your career, we're thrilled that everything is fine with you and you're healthy now. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask you at least one sports question.
Sure, no,
because here in New York, we have not had the best NFL season.
Oh,
It's just been. It's been an utter disaster. Thank God
disaster.
My son Bradley plays college football for Western Connecticut State, and they're 8-2 so far this season. So at least I have that to root for as far as football is concerned. But let me ask you a basketball question. Well, first of all, two things. First, okay. I'm sure you know this by now, but Hubie Brown is going to do one more game this year at 91, and that'll be the final game. And you must have. With all of your travels, a relationship with Hubie Brown.
Yes.
Your thoughts on him at 91 calling his last NBA game?
Okay, he's so inspiring.
Yeah.
He is unbelievable. I have known Hubie Brown since I was a little girl. My dad was a basketball executive. So in different iterations of our lives, we've been around Hubie Brown a lot. One of my dad's favorite stories about Hubie Brown is that before he would go into his post-game presser, he would take the stats, his stat sheet, right? And he would read it, and he would memorize a couple of the stats or whatever. And then he would go into his post-game presser, and he'd be like, yeah, I think we probably shot around 46%, something like that from the field. It was like off the top of his head. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's exactly what happened. But my dad used to tell that story in such a funny way, but so much respect for Hubie Brown. And I think, I love that he's doing this at 91 because he is just one of those people that has managed to stay relevant for so long because he's so hardworking, knowledgeable, and good at what he does. And I think that's a really great example for just our aging population that, how much you can give back to society. And I think it's really cool. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to uplifting teams in New York, I think I'll start with the Knicks because they had a great run last year, made some changes. And I know they've had their struggles a little bit back and forth, but they blew out the Suns last night. Your thoughts on the Knicks now with Karl Anthony Towns and their chances to compete now with the Celtics in the Eastern Conference?
I like Cat. I love Cat. He's one of my favorite players. He's from here. He's from New Jersey. As you probably know, his dad has come back to coach his high school alma mater. I spent time with Cat, his parents, and his beautiful mother, God rest her soul, whom he lost during COVID. I love the fact that Cat is back in New York, but he hasn't seemed to assume, players can't always come home. And he has not seemed to assume any of the pressure of being back in New York. I think because he walks into a really good situation. He walks into a solid situation, not one where he has to be the savior. He's going to come home and he's going to rescue the Knicks. The only thing is, and my husband and I were huge, my husband and my daughter are huge Knicks fans. And I was like, the only thing is I would like them to keep that rotation big.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like their rotation, when you keep a small rotation, then you can have what happened at the end of last year, which is the injuries. And so that's my one of the things I love about the Knicks stars is they play all the time.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen in the NBA. And that's really cool. It's great for fans. I would just
no load management. No load management.
Yes. No, but I'm talking about just minutes.
Yeah.
I like it. For me personally, I like it when the Knicks play a lot of their players.
Yeah.
So that's and obviously beating the Suns, with that big three has not really come to fruition there for Phoenix. And some of that has to do with injuries too. So, I think you walk a fine line. Are we going to be there for the fans? Let them see our stars every night. And God bless you for doing that, but also making sure that they're not getting too worn out.
Hannah, I've been in broadcasting now for 35 years. Unfortunately, I had never met or spoke to you before today.
Yeah.
I am so glad we connected. I can't thank you enough for spending some time on the show and hope we can touch base again somewhere down the road.
Yeah. And listen, when all your fans out there are watching their games and you're around a lot of family here for the holidays, just talk about, who had cancer, who didn't, like just know and go on this myriad.com, just like fill out that survey, just make that like just part of being together and caring about each other.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah Storm,
Thank
and
you.
happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to you and
You
your
too.
family.
You too. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Hannah Storm from ESPN. That was awesome. Well, from one awesome, we go to another awesome, and we've got quite a matchup in the Major League Soccer playoffs on Saturday at Citi Field. It's going to be the Hudson River Derby for the first time in postseason play. It's going to be the Red Bulls and NYCFC in the Eastern Conference semifinals. And on the Zoom to talk to me about it is a man who will call the play-by-play for that game on Apple TV, a longtime friend of mine and a colleague, and so excited to welcome to the show Steve Cangialosi. Cangi, it's Peter. How are you?
I'm fine, Peter. That's a tough act to follow. I caught about the last 7 minutes of your interview with Hannah. Very important stuff, and she's been one of the best for a long time.
Yeah, she is. She was really terrific and a great story, and glad she is doing okay. How about you? Before we talk about soccer, we haven't spoken in God knows how long. I mean, you left the Devils a few years ago, and you were doing Red Bulls. I would see you at Red Bull Arena from time to time, but it's been a while. How are you doing?
Everything is fantastic. We're 2 years into this project now with MLS on Apple TV Plus, and it's been a wonderful experience. The funny thing is, I left the broadcast of the Devils on MSG after 16 years, and I probably am on a plane now more, Peter, than I've ever been in my life, because there's no such thing as a home game anymore.
No.
These are all global broadcasts, right? I'm not focusing on one team. So this is the rare occurrence this weekend where I can just leave my driveway in New Jersey and take the drive to Citi Field. So it's local this week, but those games have been few and far between. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and the coverage has been terrific. And I wanted to ask you, because obviously it opened up a lot of eyes a couple of years ago when Major League Soccer struck this deal with Apple TV, leaving the regional sports network and leaving a lot of the network TV broadcasts to go to Apple TV. And there were some that were skeptical about it. How could you put all the games on streaming? And the MSG did a great job with the Red Bulls for so many years. What's been the overall response to what Apple TV has done and the way that they've presented the games, not just with the national broadcast, but also including the other forms of announcer teams that you can get on Apple TV?
Well, I think that the whole dynamic is different, and it's more akin to what you would see of how the major networks cover the NFL, right? There's no such thing as the local announcer outside of the radio universe, which still, in my opinion, remains very important to the presentation of all of these teams. So, look, I did the local package for 21 years on MSG. So you're in a rhythm, and it's a lot easier to gain the trust of the coaches and players that you see week in and week out. Well, now it's something where you're gaining the trust of coaches who might only see you once every 2 months, once every 3 months. So I think in that sense, you have to work harder in order to gain that trust. But I think if the job is done correctly, you do find yourself there. Again, the key word here, Peter, is that it's global, right? I cannot tell you in particular in the games I've done involving Inter Miami. I did the game where Messi was eliminated by Atlanta United in one of the shock results of these MLS Cup playoffs, one of the shock results in the history of this league. And in the back of my mind, I can only wonder how many people are viewing in Argentina. How many people are viewing in places like Barcelona, Spain, where Messi was a legend for so many years? And I've never gotten the mathematical handle on that, but it's always in the back of my mind when I'm calling these games.
No question about it. My guest, Steve Cangialosi from Apple TV Plus. He'll be on the call for NYCFC against the Red Bulls in the Eastern Conference semifinals on Saturday at Citi Field. Let's talk about the game. It has been a great rivalry since NYCFC came into Major League Soccer a number of years ago, and I was at a game earlier this season with my son at Citi Field. It was a hard-fought match, and I think both teams are probably in a much different spot than they were back then. Your thoughts on this matchup, on on Saturday? What do you expect from these two teams?
Well, I think New York City, rightly so, should be considered a favorite in this game. They swept the regular season series from the Red Bulls, and this is on one of their home grounds, right? It's not the preferred home ground. Yankee Stadium has some major college football this weekend with Notre Dame and Army, so the decision was made to play it at Citi Field. What's kind of throwing a little cold water on this, Peter, is that the Mets are in the process of winterizing Citi Field. So they're going to cap the attendance at a certain number. I understand they just expanded it to 25,000, and those tickets will all be accounted for. I think this is something where it would easily get 40,000 if you open the stadium up to that vast number, but there's a reason that they're doing this. The first thing that comes to mind about why the first two games might not be indicative of what we'll see on Saturday is a healthy Emil Forsberg. Forsberg was only able to come off the bench in each of the first two meetings, the game at Citi Field that you alluded to, and the 5-1 beatdown September 28th at Red Bull Arena, which I thought was important for New York City. That's the most lopsided win they've ever had against their rival. Not 7-0, the infamous Red Wedding that was played back in 2016, but the next closest thing. And truth be told, they were probably good enough to score 7 goals that day, Pete.
Yeah, no question about it. The Red Bulls just always seem that they've never won a championship, but when you talk about the landscape of sports in New York, the Red Bulls have to be talked about more because they have just been a model of consistency in terms of making the playoffs. They have this ridiculous run of years in a row of making the playoffs. And I know for some people who don't follow soccer, they're like, who cares? It's just soccer. But the Red Bulls have done such an unbelievable job in putting a team on the field that's capable of winning. I'm wondering maybe if Cinderella is on their side this year because they had their bumps and ups and downs during the course of the regular season, and they seem to have caught a little bit of magic, a little bit of mojo here in the playoffs.
Well, it's 15 consecutive years in the playoffs. You have a lot of football fans who listen to your show, I'm sure. So contrast that with basically the entire Jets postseason drought.
You had to bring up the Jets, Steve. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry about the Jets that much in the show.
Okay, but there's something to be said to your point about where they're going with this. And but you know, I think in all fairness, Peter, when you talk about this rivalry with New York City, I think any sensible Red Bulls fan would trade that streak for one MLS Cup. And that's where the envy comes into play here because New York City in its 7th season lifted the trophy. The Red Bulls are in their 29th season and they're still, chasing the golden goose here. So, that plays into, I think, the emotion of the rivalry. I think it's fair to say these teams don't like each other, okay? And I think that plays into what we're going to see on Saturday. And I think it's important mentioning that because I think keeping emotion in check is very important. In the 2 games this year, the Red Bulls conceded early in both, in the opening minutes of both games. That can't happen again because I think if it happens on this stage, they might not get off the mat.
I wanted to make sure I asked you this before I let you go. How much do you miss the Devils?
I miss it a lot. I still keep in touch with a lot of the folks that I worked with, and I still follow the team on an almost day-to-day basis. When I can watch, I do watch. And one of the hard things about stepping away when I did is that I knew, and I think any sensible hockey fan knew, they were on the verge of turning the corner. They were on the verge of seeing Jack Hughes enter the early stages of his prime. Nico Hischier really start to come into his own as one of the best two-way forwards in the league. And here we are now. They slipped up last year, but I think a lot of that had to do with the loss of some key players like Dougie Hamilton due to injury. They're in, I think, a very competitive Eastern Conference. I would be shocked if they're left out of the playoff dance again this season. But I think I miss the people most because I think there's that old adage, hockey people are the best people, and I think there really is something to that. The family is what I miss the most.
Well, Steve, I can't thank you enough for spending some time with me on the show, and congratulations to you on all your success in the business, and have a great call on Saturday on Apple TV, Red Bulls and NYCFC. It has been way too long since we spoke. Hope it's not that long again.
Thank you so much, Peter. Good luck to you, okay?
Thank you. Steve Cangialosi from Apple TV Plus. They will have the Eastern Conference semifinal on Saturday between the Red Bulls and NYCFC. That should be a great game. I have gone a few minutes of overtime again. I know Tony's got some very important plans coming up in a few minutes, so I am going to wrap this up fairly quickly. Let me just tie up a couple of loose ends before I get out of here, if Tony will indulge me. First of all, good luck to Stony Brook's football team on Saturday against Monmouth in their regular season finale. Head coach Billy Kosh earlier this week, we neglected to mention this on the show on Tuesday, he won a Coach of the Year award the other day that was voted on by the AFCA, the Coaches Award, awarding Coach of the Year for 1AA, and we wish him congratulations on that. We wish Stony Brook the best of luck on Saturday against Monmouth, and they are in line for a playoff spot. The selection show will be on Sunday. I'm told it's possible, depending on how the voters vote, they could get a home game in the first round. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. But at the very least, you go from 0-10 last year with the old coach to now you are 8-3 and a chance to go to the playoffs. That's an unbelievable job by Billy Kosh. And you want to stay tuned today or tomorrow. I don't know when Greater Long Island is going to post it, but I did write a story about Stony Brook football for GreaterLongIsland.com. It's going to get posted today or tomorrow, so look out for that. Obviously, goes without saying when we talk about college football, and I mentioned this the other day, my son Bradley in Western Connecticut State, they're going to play Alfred on Saturday in an ECAC bowl game at home in Danbury, Connecticut. So looking forward to being at that, and best of luck to Bradley and the Wolves in bringing a trophy to Western Connecticut State on a Saturday. If you don't mind me, Tony, if I could take a minute of your time. Of course. You are a man of the people. I like to think you're a man of the people.
I don't know what people that is.
I wanted to bring this up because something happened to me last night.
Okay.
And I wanted to run this because maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm a lunatic.
Well,
and I think too much about these things. So it's Wednesday night. You know what Wednesday is at Carvel, right?
Yeah, it's buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free, right.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday, my family and I get Carvel
nice
for dinner. Buy one, get one free. And my wife and I, sometimes we go together to go pick it up if we're out doing something. Sometimes she'll go pick it up. Sometimes I'll go pick it up. But very nice assortment of people who work in the Carvel that we go to. In fact, one young lady a few weeks ago mentioned she was going to one of the World Series games.
Oh, wow.
And I said, would you bring me back a program? I'll pay you for it next time. We're in every Wednesday,
right.
So you know we're good for it. And she did. She delivered on that a couple of weeks ago. But very, very nice people that work in that Carvel. But last night I went myself to go pick up the ice cream, and there was a new girl in there.
Uh-oh.
Very nice, very nice. I got everything correct and everything like that. But this, I don't know if this was right and rubbing me the wrong way, or am I overreacting, or maybe this is the thing. But at the end, I paid for it. She gives it to me. I said, you have a great night. And then she responded to me by saying, you have a good night. And I said to myself, I just told her to have a great night, and all I got back was have a good night. And I'm thinking to myself, I would have liked a you too, or you have a great night too, or something like that. And here's my question. Am I thinking too much about this that she didn't say have a great night? Or is it, did I put too much pressure on her? Because usually when you say to somebody, when you're saying goodbye, you say, have a good day, have a good day.
Right.
But did I put too much pressure on the young lady by saying have a great night? Because I thought maybe that's what, who is this guy to come in here and tell, it's 8 o'clock at night. How much? She's probably working until 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
How possibly could she have a great night? So am I thinking too much about this, or what do you think?
I think she just doesn't want you to have as good a night as she was going to have.
Yeah.
So that's why you only qualify as good, and she's having a great night.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this, but it kind of like I said have a great night. She said have a good night. I'm like,
I don't think I would care. I just enjoy my ice cream.
Enjoy my ice cream. Well, I did.
Well, there you go.
I absolutely did.
So you had a great night. Screw her.
Maybe I'm thinking too much about this, but when you wish somebody a great night and you only have someone say it back to you, say have a good night, I'm like, what did I do? What did I do wrong there?
That's great.
But my mind is warped sometimes anyway, so I don't know. Let me tell you about next week. And Tony talked about this on Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show. We've got a kind of a convoluted week here on Governor's Comedy Club podcast next week. We'll have Sports Bash on Monday at 3 o'clock, and then again on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. On Wednesday's show, we're going to be joined by Mike Del Giudice from Billy Joel's band, so I am looking forward to that on Wednesday. So that will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Thanks to my guests, AEW wrestler Orange Cassidy, ESPN SportsCenter anchor Hannah Storm, and Apple TV MLS play-by-play voice Steve Cangialosi. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Living Legends Memorabilia in Rockville Center, by Bearcat Billing Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching. Sports Bash returns Monday at 3 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone.